Okay. See how I feel. Just do your best. That's all. Good.
Okay, Jason, I'm going to look at your full swing before I made some adjustments, and I'm starting at the impact position. It's the most important. Everything the ball does, how far it goes, how high it goes, how much it spins in curves is dependent on the laws of physics and geometry that you deliver to the ball at the moment of impact. And I'm going to compare you to Grant Waite, who was a tour player during the 90s and considered having one of the best swings in golf. He's now a top instructor of tour players. At impact, the average pro will have 85 to 90% of their weight on their front foot. And you can see how that red line coming up from his left foot is going right through the center of his body. So at impact, he has the majority of his weight on top of his left foot. And the camera was a little bit cockeyed, so I've drawn that red arrow so that it's at right angles to the mat, which would indicate correctly where your weight is in relationship to your left side, and that you are have a little bit of weight on your left foot, but if we can get a little bit more weight on your left foot at impact, you'll hit the ball more consistently solid. The key to hitting solid shots when the ball is on the ground is to make sure that the low point of your arc is in front of the golf ball. And the best way to do that is to have your weight on that left side and your hands in front of the ball at impact. Now, one of the things that you do really well is that you hit the ball with extended arms. That's excellent. As we continue forward with the swing, in the ninth position is when the right arm is parallel to the ground. And again, your upper body looks really good. It basically looks just like the pros here. So when we compare what you're doing there to what Grant is doing, you have a really nice extension in both arms through there. That looks excellent. Now from the waist down is where there's a little bit of a difference. You're starting to see, you can see how Grant is getting that right hip and right leg up to his left side. So Grant is rotating his right side of his body towards the target. So his belt buckle is basically, his belly button is almost facing the target at this point. And so one of the things that we need to do is to release this right side, release that hip, let this right hip and right knee, and you'll start to see that back foot pivot. As I take it up to the finish, as Grant completely turns and is facing the target now with his knees, his hips, everything is facing the target. His back foot is on the tip of the toe. And so one of the things that we want to do is work on that lower body and get this back foot to pivot and get this right side to pivot through. Now we're going to look at some of the positions before impact that might be preventing you from arriving at a fundamentally sound impact position. Here we are at the setup. I like your setup. You have a nice extension in the arms. The elbows are close to each other. The width of your stance looks good. The only thing that's slightly different, and it's a very minor thing, if I drew a line from Grant's shoulder down to the shaft, his hands are basically on that line. You have your hands maybe just a little too far forward, so we actually could move your hands back just a tad bit, and so that your shaft is a little bit more in line with the left arm. I'm going to take Grant to the 3 position. This is when the left arm is parallel to the ground, and we're going to look at his weight. He's kept his weight on his left side. His left knee is still basically right on top of his left foot, so he didn't sway to the right. He's rotating around his left leg, his left hip. So this red arrow becomes kind of the axis of his golf swing. He's rotating around his left side. He's not rotating around the center of his body, and he's not rotating around the right leg. He's rotating around the left leg. When he gets to this position where his left arm is parallel to the ground, he's formed basically a right angle, and as he hinged his wrist up in the air. Let's take you now to that 3 position. Now your left arm is pretty much extended, but we don't have a lot of wrist hinge, so you're not really hinging your wrist up. We would like to get that more up in the air like this. I do like the fact that you're stable in your feet and you haven't swayed to the right. Very good. Now the swing on the right is one of the drill swings that we were doing. We were isolating the wrist and learning how to hinge that wrist up a little bit quicker. And so now we're seeing that club getting up here when your left arm is straight. So that's much better. So that's a real power source. If we can get this club head further back, you'll have more power. Power comes from how far you get the club head back, not how far you get your hands back. Now we're going to look at the full swing after we worked on several elements of the swing. And we're going to compare it to the swing on the left, whereas before we started doing adjustments. As you take it back, as you come through, we started working on that lower body coming through better. Look at that finish. That's very good. You're on that toe. You've got your knee, your hip, everything's facing the target. That's a pro finish. We're getting that foundation of fundamentals established so we can build the next layer of foundations or next layer of fundamentals on top of it. But that's a really good finish right there, and we'll continue to fine-tune that.
If somebody said, Tom, there's 100 fundamentals to a golf swing, what's number 1? This may be number 1. If it's not, it's certainly my top 5. And that is where you put the heel of your left knee on the club, on the handle.
Okay.
It must be on top and not hanging off.
Okay. Okay.
I just saw that you kind of have it hanging off a little bit.
Okay.
So you're actually making the club longer than it should be.
Okay.
And that makes it harder to control it.
Okay.
Golf requires leverage. Leverages require focus. There was a boulder, and I had a pole. I'd have to put something under the pole to pry against.
Exactly.
That's what the heel is.
And I was off the hand. Okay.
So we want to be in the fingers, and we want that heel on top, so we can support it with that foot.
Okay.
We don't want that on the side or all hanging off the back.
Okay.
Let me see you on your own get that done. Take this hand off, and we want that. We want this gap taken away. I want that closer.
Okay.
There you go. Now if I hold it up and you hold it for me, you can see how you're using that to support the weight a little bit, that heel.
Okay.
All right, so now get the right hand on there.
Yeah, that feels a lot better.
You're gonna have a lot more control.
Damn
Now you
stuff.
have that heel supporting that hinge too. I'm going to set this at the same angle.
Yeah,
I'm going to set this.
away in front.
I'm going to set this at the same angle you set yours. That's the swing plane. What that means is, if I want you to swing the club and stay on plane. What that means is, when you get back here, it should be at that same angle that it's there. But you have a tendency to go back here and then go straight up with it.
Okay.
So I want you to keep this right armpit closed and get it back here. Get the club behind you, not above you.
Okay.
Try that feeling. Don't swing the ball, but just try to do some back. So I want you to feel more like a baseball swing. Do a couple of baseball swings for me. Feel the roundness of this swing.
Yeah.
Okay? So I want your driver swing to feel more around your body and not so much up and down. I want it to be a merry-go-round, not a Ferris wheel. I want that left foot to stay flat on the ground. That feel a little different?
Yeah.
So I want you to feel like you're taking the club inside quickly. Take it inside quickly. Okay, so it's a rounder swing. Let's get that slower, smoother backswing. Don't yank it back. That's what I want, right there. For a little fade. It's going to be in the fairway. You see it?
Now it is, yeah, okay.
Now we're going to look at your driver's swing. Setup looks really good right off your left side. So the ball position's good. Your hands are in a good position. Now you did have a tendency to hit the ground and not hit the ball consistently. And let's look at what might be causing that. I've drawn a circle around the head of Grant and you. Let's look at Grant's swing first. During his swing, he keeps his head pretty much inside that circle, all the way to the top of his swing. And so he's not lifting. In fact, his left leg is flexing downward. He's not standing up taller in the left leg. He's actually letting that left leg flex in his backswing. As you go back, you'll see your head go up and to the right. And so next time we get together, we're going to work on how to make a backswing without changing your spine angle.